Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast is your one-stop shop for fantasy football news and advice. Can't decide on who to draft on the first round? Going gaga on how to line up your team. Got you covered. Traditional leagues, Dynasty League, PPR League, IDP League, even Daily Fantasy Football League. Join us as we break down all the questions of fantasy football. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast.
And welcome everyone to the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your host, Jeff Malinoff, and with me once again is Marc Souza. We are going to be talking about buying and selling for the fantasy football after 5 weeks. There's going to be some surprises in there, you'll see. We'll also be talking about who's going to stand out the most in the Week 5 matchups, and also who's going to stand out the least and have one of maybe the worst games. So we're going to get all on that this podcast episode. First, we're going to talk about our buyers and sellers. Do you have any buyers and sellers for this week?
Yes. So my first buy, it's going to be generic. It's not a single player.
What? But okay, is it a team?
Rams wide receivers. Just buy them.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Cooks, Kupp, Robert Woods.
They're probably already taken, but still.
No.
Try to find some backups.
But no, they're taken. For sure, they're on rosters, but I try to trade for them. I would try and trade.
So if you're doing a daily fantasy team, definitely at least have one of them.
Yes, that's a great offense. They move the ball up and down the field. They throw the ball a lot. Gurley is probably not somebody that you can trade for at this point because of how good he is every week, and the person who owns Gurley drafted him probably number 1 overall. So you're not going to get Gurley, but I think for the right price, you can get a Brandon Cooks. You can get a Robert Woods, and you can get my favorite, my little Cooper Kupp.
I'm sorry, what'd you just say?
My little Cooper Kupp.
Don't ever say that again,
Cooper
please.
Kupp.
Nope, stop it.
Kupp.
Stop it.
So get Cooper Kupp, get Robert Woods, and get Brandon Cooks. That's my first buy of my 3. Who do you have?
Well, for my main buy... if I am correct here, mine is Calvin Ridley. You gotta buy him. You gotta take him. He's been on fire passing-wise, or touchdown passing-wise. He is the red zone threat that you want on your fantasy team. Buy Ridley. Buy him now. What are you waiting for? Buy him. Stop stalling and buy him.
Just wait.
No.
Wait.
No, buy him now. What? You're saying we should wait?
I think you should wait. I think he's a sell.
No, buy. Don't listen to him. Listen to me.
So tell
Jeff.
Tell the listeners why you should buy.
Because I just said he's a red zone threat. He's had multiple touchdown catches in the last 2 games.
Okay.
And the 3 touchdown game was just a taste of things to come. And he had another couple of touchdown passes to him by Matt Ryan last week.
But you're not worried that he's not like an all-around receiver?
Well, no, because Julio Jones is the guy that gets him to the red zone, and he finishes it off with touchdowns. You want those touchdowns, you get him.
You're right. But do you think Julio will see touchdowns? Like, we can't expect Julio to be shut out in touchdowns all year, right? Like, he'll eventually
He'll have a couple, but right now he's struggling. And honestly, if I had to sell Julio, I would right now. So that's my biggest controversy of this whole
Here's
show,
my concern with Calvin Ridley.
You should sell Julio.
Here's my concern.
Go for it.
I have 2 major concerns. Actually 3, but 2 for sure. I do think Julio Jones will see more touchdowns, which will eat into Calvin Ridley's touchdown totals.
He's still being watched over than Ridley. Ridley's still going to be the one that's not double covered.
Calvin Ridley is still playing behind Sanu in terms of snaps. Last week, he played 38.
That's going to change.
Well, you would think that it would have changed last week. He only played 38 snaps last week, which is 54%. He only is seeing target total. He only has 21 targets through 4 games. My concern with him is that he's reliant on the big play, like a Ted Ginn. And I don't know if he is going to be able to continue to put up a lot of points. I would feel more comfortable selling him at this point because I don't see his value being any higher than it is right now. Would you disagree with that? Like his value is at a max level right now, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So then you should sell and get a player. See if you can get a player like a Odell Beckham Jr. in return.
I don't think anyone's trading Odell Beckham. I don't want Odell Beckham for Cal. I want Calvin Ridley over Odell Beckham.
But if you can get a frustrated fantasy owner who owns a guy like Keenan Allen or Odell Beckham Jr., maybe you can use the leverage that you've gained with Ridley in the last couple weeks to parlay that into a better, more consistent fantasy wide receiver. Can you see that?
Yes, I can, but still, like, that's a huge risk you're taking.
For who? I mean, for the person selling.
For the person selling
Odell and.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but maybe you can.
But since Odell's
put that out there,
like I don't even say Odell's one of the best wide receivers in the league. He's like top 5, top 10 for sure. But selling him is going to be a huge risk.
But at the end of the season, who will have more fantasy points?
But Odell Beckham is usually people are drafting him as their one receiver, their first receiver.
Second round, most likely.
Why would you sell him for a guy for Ridley?
Well,
who is a red zone threat, no doubt about it. But you wouldn't risk that much for Calvin Ridley is like a 2 receiver in my mind, not a 1.
I'm not saying you should sell Odell Beckham for Calvin Ridley. I'm saying that if you own Calvin Ridley, it might be in your best interest to try and snag a top-tier receiver who has struggled through 4 weeks. Does that make sense? Maybe there's an owner out there that's frustrated with a Keenan Allen, for example. You said Keenan Allen. You brought him up. Maybe he hasn't been as effective so far this year, but I see he will be. Like, he should have a good season. He just hasn't had the greatest first 4 weeks. Maybe you can do a trade, even if it's like a 2 for 2, where you. All right,
who would you put in that trade?
I mean, it depends on the roster. I'm just simply saying, I think that we disagree big time with here because I think if you buy Ridley now, you're going to pay a premium for Ridley, and I don't think he's going to be able to keep up what he's been doing. I don't think he's going to put up these 20 fantasy points every week. There will be weeks where he has like 3 or 4.
And if he does, you are putting your foot in your mouth right
now.
Now,
this week he should be great against the Steelers.
So buy him now. That's what I'm saying. Buy him now.
But he doesn't play Pittsburgh every week. Now, if you're playing,
he's still even without playing Pittsburgh every week.
If you're playing daily fantasy, take as many Falcons and Steelers players as you can because that should be a high scoring game. You want a lot of that action.
That's daily fantasy. I would say.
Yeah,
but not. Yeah.
Okay, so my first buy is Rams receivers. My first sell is Ridley. Your first buy is Ridley. Your first sell is Joe Mixon.
It is Joe Mixon.
Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Because AJ Green is starting to get back into his stellar performance. Andy Dalton's starting to get back into that groove with AJ Green. Joe Mixon is coming off an injury. He's not going to be the same. He's gonna have limited snaps, and even if he gets a lot of snaps, there's a good chance he's going to re-aggravate that injury.
Joe Mixon, yeah, he has an injury risk.
It's a high risk, high reward type of thing, and I don't want to. And Gio Bernard's out with an MCL sprain. He's out for 2 to 4 weeks, so Mixon's going to get a lot of those carries and put him more at risk.
Okay,
and you can't put a guy that's coming off an injury with like 15 or 20 to 25 carries in a game. You're going to be throwing the ball more because AJ Green's on fire right now and Andy Dalton's feeling it. So why would you run the ball when you know the passing game is just going to work just as fine?
So I want to challenge your opinion here.
The ruling on the field
I'm not
stands.
saying
Jeff's right.
I'm not saying that you shouldn't sell Joe Mixon at all. But why would you sell him now if his value isn't very high considering he's been hurt and people are wanting to see him be good again before they buy him? Like if you're buying him...
There are some people that would say like he's coming off an injury, he's going to have like a good start and he's going to get back into his full form. But I would still say like if I had a trade for if I had Joe Mixon and someone traded me Calvin Ridley for Joe Mixon, I'm taking that trade.
You're taking that trade.
Absolutely.
I'm definitely not.
Are you serious?
100% no.
When is Joe Mixon going to get a touchdown?
I don't have
They don't
faith.
run the ball.
In his first 2 games that he played, he had 20 attempts in both games.
Yeah, but AJ Green was hurt. He was not doing so well. Now he's back, and now he's at better than ever.
What do you mean?
Why would I would what?
What do you mean he wasn't doing so well? He was hurt.
He had a hamstring injury. You don't remember that in week 2?
I mean, yeah, AJ Green's always hurt. So
Yeah, and now he's 100% now, and him and Andy Dalton are going like great right now.
So the first 2 games for Mixon, 17 carries, 95 yards, a touchdown, 5 receptions, 54 yards. Second game, 21 attempts, 84 yards, 1 reception, 3 yards. That's 23 and 9 fantasy points. But the second one was against Baltimore, so he had a really tough matchup
And
there.
look up Calvin Ridley's.
Ridley's been killing it. I'm not disagreeing with you there.
I'm trading Mixon for Ridley.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a very unpopular opinion. But hey,
you and who else?
We'll see. So
Yeah.
we'll move on. I have my next buy.
I actually talked to that with a few people, and they all agreed to trade for Ridley.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you were in my league and I had Ridley, I would trade you Mixon 100 times out of 100.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then I would be holding up the trophy at the end of the year. And you'd be talking about, but Ridley had those 2 good games. Anyways.
He had more than 2 good
my
games.
next buy is David Johnson.
Don't ever think I'm psyched to sound like this ever again.
I'm buying David Johnson. I'll tell you why. David Johnson, again, might be with an owner who's frustrated that he hasn't had any huge games, that he's not the Alvin Kamara or the Todd Gurley or the Melvin
That's an
Gordon.
unfair comparison, though.
Right, but if you drafted David Johnson in a season-long league, you drafted him in the top 5 more than likely, and you're not getting your return on what you invested in
You
him.
say the same thing with Le'Veon.
Exactly, but Le'Veon's a different story. David Johnson's playing, so he's valuable at this point to somebody. He has had an uptick recently in performance. Are you buying David Johnson? Would you buy him right now? Like, is he a player that you would target?
What am I giving up?
I don't know. What are you giving up? Is he a player that you would seek out in a trade?
Not seek out. If someone's offering me a trade for him, and it just depends on who they want out of me, then I'll definitely consider it. But I'm not looking for whoever owns him and goes for a trade.
I think he's going to see higher production. He's a really good player on a really bad team, but I think at some point the offense will just get better with Josh Rosen. They'll have more points, and he will in turn have more touchdowns. I think they'll use him more in the passing game. I would try and get my hands on David Johnson at this point if I can before he gets too expensive for my blood. So I am buying David Johnson. Who's
So
your
you're
next?
saying this is the least amount of worth he's going to be?
I think that I think he'll
That's
only
what you're-
get
okay, I see what you're saying.
he'll only get more expensive. Yes. So his stock is low right now.
They have no offense, so he's going to be their
Fitzgerald should be coming back from his hamstring.
But he can't do much if no one can throw him the ball.
Right, but they have a quarterback who's a rookie. He just started a game, so like Rosen, it might take a few games, but I think David Johnson will have some big games coming where he has 25, 30 points. Mm-hmm. We'll see. So who's your next buy? You have a quarterback here.
I do. Blake Bortles.
Blake Bortles, I like that. All right, so tell me why you're buying Blake Bortles.
He's been playing really well lately.
He's got a great matchup this week.
Yeah, and also his wide receivers are really showing up. He's got some weapons now, and he's throwing to those weapons, and they're making plays for him, and that just only adds to his fantasy stats.
So let me ask you this. Do you think Fournette being injured for an infinite amount of time actually helps Blake Bortles?
Indefinite, not infinite.
Well, an infinite.
He's out forever.
He's out forever.
Yeah, okay.
Well, his coach made it sound like it was forever. So in fantasy terms, it might be forever because there's only 13 weeks in the regular season.
Granted. But he's definitely going to get more pass attempts.
Yeah, I agree. I think Bortles,
and with how his receivers
he's a great
have played,
daily play this week too against the Chiefs defense. That's a solid play.
Well, Bortles is definitely a buy for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your next sell, you have Dion Lewis.
Yes, I do.
Tell me why you're selling him now.
Mariota is not giving him the ball as much as he needs the ball. When he was with Brady was giving it to him like every other play. Mariota doesn't even look in his direction. Mariota hates to do checkdowns, apparently. He always looks for the deep passes, and he's not that accurate with those passes, and he should really be looking for the check down to Dion Lewis because he can get those 8 to 10 yards for a first down on those checkdowns alone, but he's looking for the big 15 to 20 yard gains, and that's costing his team some yards and costing his team some drives. And it's not fair for Dion Lewis. I'm not saying Dion Lewis is a bad player. He's a great player, no doubt about it, but he's not getting the recognition he needs to be a great running back.
I think Mariota and that offense are just
I was all about
inconsistent.
Dion Lewis at the beginning of the season. I was like, he's going to do great. If he got signed with this new team, he's going to be the key point of their offense, and now he's not, and that's not fair.
I would lean by on Dion Lewis, but he's in the middle for me. I like him way more than Derrick Henry. I would get rid of Derrick Henry as fast as I could if I haven't already. He's a one-dimensional.
On the Titans.
I think both. I don't think he's a good player. I don't think he's a good running back. Like, what does Derrick Henry do other than run really hard and sometimes breaks a long game? But when he doesn't break like a 50-yard touchdown,
he does get tackled of it relatively easily.
He gets 2 to 3 yards a carry. It's just like, some games he'll have like a 4.3 average, and it's like because he had like a 35-yard run, but his other runs are like 2 yards, 3 yards, 2 yards, 2 yards. Dion Lewis is more dynamic. He offers a passing game option, and the one thing that I like about Dion Lewis is that if the Titans get behind in games, Derrick Henry is useless. They're going to use Dion Lewis on the field pretty much the entire time.
Mm-hmm. I definitely Dion Lewis is not getting enough of the attention on that offense.
He needs more touches for sure. So I think we need to head to our first break, and then when we come back, we can wrap up buy or sell. We have a couple more players to talk about, and then we'll talk about players this weekend. We'll do some predictions. We'll actually pick a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and a tight end who could break out this week for whether it's season long or daily fantasy players that are due for a huge performance. So we'll do that next.
All right, we'll see you then.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. We've talked about our buyers and sellers, but you have another seller or buyer on your hands?
Seller.
Seller.
You had Ridley as a buy. I had Ridley as a sell. I had the Rams wide receivers, the three of them, Woods, Cooks, and Kupp as buys. I have the Bucks wide receivers as sells.
All of them.
Yeah, some people have Godwin on their team. Deshaun Jackson was a popular waiver wire ad if he wasn't drafted. And then, of course,
wasn't drafted.
And then, of course, Mike Evans was probably a second or third round pick, depending on your league. I would sell all of them.
Even Mike Evans.
Yeah, because I don't like Jameis Winston taking over this offense.
You just don't like him in general.
I don't think he's a very good quarterback, and I don't think I think Tampa Bay's offense will use their tight ends more when he comes back. And obviously, no matter who's quarterback, whether it was still Fitzpatrick, or Jameis Winston.
Or Fitztragic, as some people like to say.
Either one of those quarterbacks, I didn't see their success maintaining, so I am a hard sell on the Bucs wide receivers. If you can get somebody to take Deshaun Jackson from you and give you a quality RB2 or a wide receiver 2/3, I would do it. What do you think about it?
I would keep Mike Evans.
Okay.
I would agree with the most.
That's the one I think that I would be okay with keeping or waiting at least to see.
Mm-hmm. It just he's always been like a go-to receiver. Whoever is the receiver.
What about Deshaun though? Are you selling hard on him?
I'm selling Deshaun.
Yeah.
He's at the end of his career. Honestly,
is there a type of player that you would look for? Running back or wide receiver?
I would just let my league know, hey, I'm giving up this guy. What are your offers?
Yeah. Okay.
That's kind of how you should. What are your offers?
Yeah. Okay.
That's kind of how you should go along with that.
Yeah. So
if he's in your keeper league, that sucks.
So who's your last buy?
Well, my last buy would have to be Devontae Freeman.
Devontae Freeman. Buy him before he blows up.
Yeah.
You see him
because he's just coming back. He's got to get the ball, a lot of more touches.
Coleman is banged up too, so he'll probably not just come back.
He'll get way more carries.
Yeah.
I say he gets like 20 carries.
And he has a really good matchup against Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Would you try and buy him hard right now before Sunday, so you can get him? Because after that, he might be harder to buy.
I'm probably pushing. I don't know how hard I'm going to push. I don't know what I have to give away for him, but I'm definitely considering all my options.
Yeah.
What would you give away for him?
Who would I give away for him?
Yeah. Like a quarterback or another running back, or what would you do?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm not sure. It's hard to say, but he is a player that I would like to add. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. My last buy is Austin Eckler.
Okay.
San Diego Chargers.
Right.
I'll tell you why.
He's kind of a very broad broad.
So right now he's like a sometimes flex player. Like you can start him depending on the week because he does get enough touches. He does get enough targets, and he scores. So as Melvin Gordon's backup, he has put up a lot of points. But this is the reason why. You ready for it?
I'm ready. My body is ready.
This might be unpopular.
Okay.
I don't think Melvin Gordon is very good.
How dare
I think he's a product of the offense and a lot of volume, but I don't necessarily think...
you're all Chargers fans, so I don't think there's any left.
I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying I don't think that he's Todd Gurley or someone that he puts up comparable numbers to. I think that he benefits from a great system.
Well, Todd Gurley's the best running back in the league.
And what I'm saying here is that if Melvin Gordon gets injured and he does get hurt, Austin Eckler is a top 10 wide receiver for the rest of the season. Would you agree with that?
Top 10?
Top 10.
I wouldn't put him at top 10.
For rest of season.
Maybe top 20, but not top 10.
He's already top 20. I mean, he's already...
No, I meant by end season. Would he stay in top 20? I'd say probably.
Yeah.
But I'm saying he's not going to go up to top 10.
It's hard for me to find 10 running backs that I would like more than Austin Eckler if he was the only running back in that offense, but... We'll move on to your third and final sell. And I see a popular name that might be an unpopular opinion.
I've already talked about this, but Julio Jones is definitely a guy I would consider selling just because he's not getting those touchdowns. But he's like my unpopular opinion sell. Like, I'm not saying do it. I'm saying, like, just look at offers you'll get. Just take a look.
Do you think that he will see some touchdown success this year, or do you just see this problem?
Of course, but... he's not obviously right now he is the guy everyone wants and he's getting double covered almost every play. That's why I'm saying look at Calvin Ridley, the extra guy looking for touchdowns, because I would rather take touchdowns over yardage because he's still getting a lot of yards. He's just not getting those red zone touches Julio Jones has.
Julio is getting so many targets though that it's hard to say.
But there's so many defenders on him. It's like Matt Ryan's relying too much on him almost.
I just think that the Falcons are not creative enough in the red zone. They don't find ways to get him open, and I'm holding out hope that they do, but I can see why you would sell him because you don't feel confident that they will be able to figure that part of their game out.
Again, it's like I'd rather take touchdowns over yards. I'm not saying you need to get rid of him. I'm saying see what you can get for him. If you like it, then I would say take it, but just I would definitely look at some offers.
Gotcha.
It wouldn't hurt, would it?
So my last sell, before we move on, is Phillip Lindsay, running back, Denver Broncos. He's had a strong start to the season. He was a player that was picked up on waivers pretty early in this year. He's basically been the number one running back for Denver. I think that, though, moving forward, that Royce Freeman will get more action. We saw their head coach talk about how they want to get Freeman more involved and that he's playing really well and they want to get him more touches. What do you think about Phillip Lindsay? Do you think that he'll start to tail off?
He's kind of already starting to.
Yeah, he had that game where he got ejected too. So
that probably hurt him more than anything else.
So we'll see. That's who I have. So to recap, Jeff's 3 buys were Ridley, Bortles, and Freeman. Mark's 3 buys were Rams wide receivers, David Johnson.
You have more than 3 technically.
And Austin Eckler. Jeff's 3 sells were Joe Mixon, Deion Lewis, Julio Jones.
I put Julio Jones as in like a big maybe. Just put in like question mark on that.
My 3 sells were Bucks wide receivers, Calvin Ridley and Phillip Lindsay. So now let's get into we're going to pick a quarterback, a running back, a wide receiver, and a tight end that we're targeting especially in daily fantasy, but these players should have standout performances on Sunday. And what we're going to do is play a little game where we're going to tally up the numbers and see who accrued more fantasy points from our 4-man rosters here. So quarterback.
You mean on Monday?
Yes, on Monday.
Yeah, so tune in on Monday and see who was right and who was wrong.
Exactly. So Monday when we do the fantasy football podcast.
Loser does 10 push-ups live on air.
Loser does 10 push-ups live on air. There'll be a lot of huffing and puffing over
exactly,
here.
That's the...
So who's your quarterback? Who are you going to pick against me?
Well, I'm going to have to go with Blake Bortles.
Blake Bortles has a great matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think he's going to be a popular daily fantasy player.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, facing that horrible defense. What kind of numbers do you think he'll put up?
I see 3 touchdown passes.
Mm-hmm. That sounds about right. How many yards?
Let's go 280.
280 and 3. Okay.
That sounds reasonable.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Who's
My
yours?
quarterback is Ben Roethlisberger. At home, Ben Roethlisberger is a different quarterback than on the road. Would you agree with that? He's great at home.
Sure, yeah, I would say
His
that.
struggles are always on the road.
Yeah.
So he's at home. He
And his
plays
weight
against
issues.
the Atlanta Falcons team. Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Vance McDonald, James Conner. I like Ben. I like him to get 340 yards passing.
That is a lot.
340 yards passing and 3 touchdown passes. So I think he'll edge out Bortles, but we will see because we will tally up the numbers.
Yes, we will.
Okay, so let's move on. Running back. Who do you got?
For running back, Alvin Kamara, hands down.
Oh, man. What an unpopular pick he is, right?
Yeah, right.
So Mark Ingram's coming back. That's interesting.
I still think Kamara gets over 100 yards rushing
Okay.
and 2 touchdowns. So let's go over 100 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns.
Gotcha. 100 yards. How many yards receiving? Because he is the NFL leader in receptions right now.
I'll give him 87.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that game is Monday night, so I actually don't think that we'll be able to tally up that
Well, we'll see how many
score.
points we have, and then we'll see what happens. We'll see how many points I need for that to happen.
Okay, yeah, so I just realized that game is Monday night.
We kind of messed up there, but we'll see. We'll see how they point. We'll add up the points until like that game.
Yeah, we'll see here. Do you have another running back, though, in case we do swap him out? We'll come back to it. I'll give you my running back.
I gotta get a chance to think about that.
I'll give you my running back, Christian McCaffrey.
Okay, that's an interesting selection.
Yeah,
but I see why.
Against the Giants.
Why you go there.
Against the Giants, I think he'll actually find the end zone. He doesn't score a lot of touchdowns. He does really well in fantasy. He gets so many receptions. He's such a good player, but he doesn't score because usually the short yardage touchdowns, Cam is getting those. You know, those quarterback rushes, the sneaks. the play action bootlegs where Cam runs into the end zone. I think McCaffrey scores. I'm going to go with 150 total yards, 8 catches, 150. That's receiving and rushing combined, and I think he'll score a touchdown. So we'll see if he can get one. So, as you're looking for another running back to insert in case we switch that out, what wide receiver would you pick for this weekend?
I would have to go DeAndre Hopkins.
DeAndre Hopkins from the Houston Texans. Okay, they play the Cowboys.
You almost said Oilers, didn't you?
No. No.
I think they should be called the Oilers.
I do
again.
get San Diego and LA mixed up, but the Oilers, I'm past that one.
Okay. But yeah, DeAndre Hopkins.
Tell me what you see against the Cowboys.
Well, he's their one receiver. Cowboys secondary is subpar. And I definitely see DeAndre Hopkins getting back into the groove of things with Deshaun Watson at this point in time.
Give me a stat line.
I'm going to give him 111 receiving yards and a touchdown.
Okay, 111. How many receptions?
Let's go 8.
8. Okay. So you think he will get 8 for 111 and a touchdown. I have...
It sounds so exact. If I get it right, I'll be so excited.
I have Antonio Brown. So I'm pairing him with Ben.
So you have Roethlisberger and Brown. You should be different teams.
What?
I feel like it should be different teams.
Why?
I don't know.
I have Antonio Brown. Against the Falcons, we talked about it. They struggle. Keanu Neal's out for the year. Give me Antonio Brown and give me 11 receptions, 165 yards.
That's a lot for a wide receiver,
and
dude.
2 touchdowns.
165 receiving yards for one player.
And 2 touchdowns.
All right, psychopath.
Have you figured out another running back yet? Or are we going to talk about your tight end?
Let's talk about my tight end, then we go back to that.
All right, so after you tell me your tight end, you're going to figure out a running back deal?
Honestly, I was thinking Zach Ertz for that, but I might be changing it.
To who?
I was thinking George Kittle.
That's who I have.
Okay, I won't take him then. Sorry. I'll keep Zach Ertz then.
Okay, Zach Ertz. So against Minnesota?
Yeah, he's just no corner is be able to touch him in this situation. I think he's just too big of a guy tight end, and Carson Wentz loves throwing to him.
He does. So what do you see? Give me your crystal ball.
I'm gonna say 11 receptions.
4?
That's a good question.
Are you?
Let's go. I can't do that voice anymore.
Are you talking that high because Harrison Smith might cover?
I don't know why I got to this point. Whatever. But I would say let's go 11 receptions, 102 yards receiving, and I'm going to give him 2 touchdowns. 2
touchdowns. What is he, Antonio Brown? All right.
He doesn't even want to be.
So my tight end.
Antonio Brown doesn't have a Super Bowl ring.
My tight end was just given away, but it is George Kittle. I'll take George Kittle. Niners against the Cardinals.
Because Kittle had a great game against... the reason I was going to take him is he had a great game against the Chargers. And he had the 82-yard run. And him and Beathard are both from Iowa. And
they are both
a huge
from Iowa.
Factor. But that's why I was wanting to take him also. But since you had him, I totally understand that. But Carson Wentz and Zach Ertz have like great chemistry also. So I think we picked 2 of the tight ends that are go-tos in those cores.
So I'm looking at my crystal ball right now, and I see...
He's doing the hand motions, too.
I see George Kittle.
You know this is a podcast. They can't see your hands, right?
George Kittle will have 8 receptions for 94 yards, and he'll catch a touchdown off a play-action pass.
Oh, you're going to go super exact with a play-action pass.
When he scores that play-action pass, I'm going to come in Monday morning with a huge grin on my face.
Yeah, but then my Zach Ertz is going to have like over 100 yards receiving, and I'm going to have that biggest smile on my face also.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I got to think of a new running back just in case if we...
Yeah, hurry up and get a new running back before we go to break.
No, I'm thinking about... I want to stay with Kamara, though.
Okay, well then we can't on Monday. Then we can't.
Well, no, we'll see how many points total there is.
What does that mean?
We'll see how if I already win without Kamara.
You're not going to win without him.
All right, we'll see. But I'm sick with
I think
Kamara.
You should pick another running back so we can on Monday give our listeners a resolution to this.
But I'm losing. Okay, fine. Give me Todd Gurley.
Todd Gurley against Seattle. That's a great pick.
Fine. Replace me with Todd Gurley. 150. It's Still good. 150 rushing yards.
Woo!
With
150.
You can't do my voice. 150 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns.
Hold on. Play that back. Did you say 3?
I said 3 rushing touchdowns.
Did I hear that right? I looked away for a second.
Have you seen that defense?
He can do it. Todd Gurley's definitely somebody who can get you 3 touchdowns this weekend. No denying that. The guy can do it in the air. He can do it on the ground. Plus, there should be a lot of points scored by the Rams, so he should be heavily involved.
Seattle's defense is terrible. Lisa Boom is dead.
And their offense is not going to be able to sustain too many drives, I don't think.
Honestly, if you want to sell someone, Russell Wilson is a guy you should sell also.
He's actually on the waiver wire in a couple leagues that I'm in. Isn't that
really
nuts? Isn't that crazy?
Well, I'm not surprised.
You know what, though? As much as I think that he won't have a good year, he starts off years kind of slow.
Well, we'll get on that for the next segment.
Yeah.
We'll start with that, but we'll get right back to you.
Talk about streaming defenses, too.
All right, well, that sounds good to me. We'll get on that right after this.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. We talked about who was going to be our star players in this week, but we're also going to add defenses to this star lineup. And defenses, I think it should be very interesting to see who's going to have the best defensive effort through this week in football. But do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
You can go ahead.
All right, I'll go
What
ahead.
do you like?
I'm going... All right, let's see. Best defensive effort for this week.
I have a feeling I know you're going to pick, but I just want you to say it first.
You're not going to guess it.
Go ahead.
The Tennessee Titans.
I knew it.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Shut up. No, you didn't.
I swear.
No, you didn't.
I swear.
On your wife's life, you
I swear on this wedding ring on my left hand right here.
Okay. You took it off, so...
I knew you were going to take Tennessee. They're playing Buffalo.
All right. Well, yeah, they are taking Buffalo. But I definitely have Tennessee taking this.
Do you think they'll get a shutout like Green Bay's defense did against Buffalo?
I don't see shutout. Maybe 6 points. Maybe 1 touchdown.
A couple turnovers.
Yeah. I'm looking at more of the turnover part. There's going to be some turnovers.
Do you think they'll take one to the house?
Yes. At least one.
If
not
one.
a punt return, because that counts for defense also.
That does. Yeah.
So at least a kickoff, punt, or an interception, fumble, return for a touchdown. Or all at the same time. Just watch.
I think that Tennessee is a great play this weekend.
You can't choose them.
I know. But they are a great play.
Hold on. We should have this written all down.
It's written down. It's right there.
Okay,
I put it on your side.
Okay, I see it.
So, do you want to know who my defense is?
Go for it.
Give me the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh my God. No way.
I'm taking him against Baker Mayfield.
Against Baker Mayfield.
Yep.
Okay.
It was either them or the New York Giants, or the Panthers against the New York Giants, the Panthers defense against Eli, but I will take Ravens. Give me Baltimore. I'm going with them. I think they'll do well.
I don't believe you.
Jimmy Smith is coming back.
Mic drop.
Jimmy Smith is coming back to add to that already stellar defense. Baker Mayfield's a rookie, and I think he's going to see an actual NFL defense this weekend that's going to give him a lot of problems. I see some sacks. I see a couple picks by the kid, and Baltimore will win this game.
I'm totally winning this, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who's your running back again?
McCaffrey.
Yeah, and mine's Gurley.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your quarterback might do better.
And Antonio Brown, I think, will be better than Hopkins. I think he'll get me in running back. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I'll give you running back. But I think I like my quarterback, receiver. Tight end is a toss-up.
I'll take tight end.
Tight end's always a toss-up, though. It comes down to who scores.
I'll take the defense.
I think you're right. You picked Tennessee. I couldn't pick them.
Yeah, were you going to pick them?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you gave me the first. I gave you an opportunity.
I know. I gave you the pick. You got Tennessee. I'll take Baltimore. That's fine.
Okay, fine. All right. Now let's go to an even more fun factor. Who do you think is going to do the worst
for defenses?
Well, we'll start from defenses. We'll start with the defense.
Give me the Atlanta Falcons. Will do the worst.
Okay.
Against Pittsburgh, I think they'll give the most yards and points.
Give me the Arizona Cardinals.
Really? Against a C.J. Beathard team?
Well, even with C.J. Beathard, they had a lot of points. Like, Kyle Shanahan's offense still generates a lot of points. Yes, their record doesn't speak for it, but their points, they are up there. They seem to just get that ball in the end zone.
I want to call you out. Can I call you out?
On what?
So, you had a few teams predicted to score more points this weekend than the 49ers.
And?
So, I'm wondering why you chose the Cardinals as the poorest performing defense if you have a defense like Pittsburgh giving up 42 points.
I'm just saying it just because...
Jeff?
Wait, okay, first of all, the other team's points are it was 28, multiple touchdowns. I see this game as if my 17-14 prediction is wrong, the Cardinals are not going to get above 14 points. You
said 28-20.
Did I say so? Oh, I must be thinking of a different game then. Damn it. There's so many games going on. But 28-20. I don't see them scoring that many points.
I got you all flustered. Listen to you. You're just scrambling around. You're just throwing all kinds of words out.
Okay, who's
you're tapping your foot.
My leg. That's my ADHD.
You just need to...
No, that's seriously my ADHD. Dude, ask anyone that knows me. I do this all the time when I'm sitting down.
We got this guy over here tapping his foot.
I do that all the time. If anyone in my high school remembers, that was the most annoying part of me. Not that, but there's a lot more annoying about me. But I was going to say, I always tap the. Oh, screw you! I always tapped the tile floor in high school, and everyone hated it. So
you were that guy, huh?
Well, I couldn't help it. ADHD is a problem, man. And ADD.
Why don't we give our listeners some streaming defenses other than
who's your horrible defense?
My horrible defense is Atlanta. Yeah.
What were the points you said you were going to give them?
Atlanta's going to give up a ton of points, but you think that Atlanta will give up 28. I think Atlanta will give up 31. But I could see it.
Them then?
What?
Why are you picking them as your defense? As the worst defense.
What do you mean? I think that they're going to get a lot of points. 34 points, so I think they're going to give up. Excuse me, not 31.
Okay, I see what you're saying now.
So, yeah, what about some streaming defenses that are not popular that can probably be picked up on waivers right now? Is there any team out there that you would say? Maybe a bad defense, but maybe their matchup is good, or maybe you just see a game going a certain way where...
God, I would honestly put the 49ers up there just because...
They're an interesting defense.
They get a lot of sacks.
They're playing a rookie quarterback. That's the biggest part, right? They're playing a rookie quarterback. Richard Sherman might play, and they're playing at home.
Their secondary is below average, in my opinion, but their front seven has been playing pretty well. DeForest Buckner has a handful of sacks already. He has more sacks than he had in the last 2 seasons.
They are an interesting team because the Cardinals are one of the worst statistical fantasy offenses in the NFL. They have a rookie quarterback. You're right. They have problems.
I'm still sticking with the Cardinals having the worst defensive performance just because of how many points the 49ers have put up.
Yeah. So you would put... Plus, you kind of mentioned it too. If you think the Niners are going to score a lot of points, then they'll be in favorable positions to play defense where they're forcing a rookie to throw the ball every 2 out of 3 plays and whatnot. So, okay, so you got the Niners as a defense. That's a sleeper.
Sleeper, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I actually have...
wow, you complimented me on something.
This is a team, I don't know if you're going to agree that's a sleeper, but they are available in some leagues. Some leagues they are not. But I like the Cowboys' defense this weekend against Houston. Because Houston's...
Do you just not want DeAndre Hopkins to do good?
No.
Good? Is that why?
I actually think DeAndre Hopkins will be fine, but the Cowboys' defensive line can create sacks, and they can create turnovers. The Texans' offensive line... Remember, we're talking about matchups, right? Like, we're not necessarily saying, like, oh, the Cowboys' defense is the best in the NFL, but they have a great defensive line. Houston's weakness on their offense is that offensive line. Deshaun Watson's been getting hit. He's been taking sacks. So I see the Cowboys forcing a couple turnovers, getting 4 or 5 sacks. Does that make sense? Like 2 picks and 5 sacks. And that's a good fantasy game.
Sure.
Depending on how many points to give, of course. But
I agree with that.
okay. So I have the Cowboys as kind of an under-the-radar streaming defense.
Who do you think is going to have the worst quarterback performance?
Worst quarterback performance. That's a good question. I mean, Rosen might be up there. You talked about him. Eli against the Panthers. It could be bad.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Don't you kind of see a game where Eli could throw like 2 pick sixes? Like I feel like this might be one of those games.
You mean every single game he could throw for 2 pick sixes?
and especially on the road against Carolina, it just feels like it's gonna be a blowout to me.
If Manning doesn't have those 2 Super Bowl rings, he's not as highly touted as everyone claims he is, because he struggles.
Who do you see as your quarterback to have the worst week?
You might not like this. Dak Prescott.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
He's a very up and down quarterback.
Yeah, I feel like the rushing attack of J.J. Watt and Clowney are going to make him so uncomfortable he's going to throw just pick after pick. I'm saying
absolutely be right.
I'm saying at least 2 picks.
You could be absolutely right.
I am absolutely right because I can see the future.
That's a solid bet. I think we need to go to a break, and then when we come back, we can wrap this up. There might be a couple other sleepers that we can talk about. Some guys that might be available.
And let's talk about overhyped people. We can also talk about that.
Overhyped. Yeah, we'll talk about that in our last 15 minutes.
All right, that sounds like a plan.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
And welcome back to the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. We've talked about who we think are buyers and sellers, who we think are going to have the best performances of this week, and also the worst performances defensive-wise, as well as some other players. Now we're going to go on to some more sleepers and some overhyped commodities. What do you want to start with, sleepers or overhyped commodities? I like that word, commodities.
Let's do overhyped commodities, but you can go
first. It's a fun
first.
word, isn't it? Commodities.
You go first with the overhyped commodities.
This could be either a popular or unpopular opinion, but Patrick Mahomes.
For this week, or are we talking about this week or for the rest of the season?
I'm thinking starting this week.
Because he plays Jacksonville?
Yeah. And also the fact that people are like saying he's the best player in football right now, and maybe so at the moment just based off momentum. But he still is. He's still on a Chiefs team that's been known for having these ups and downs at the middle of the season, and these downs are they go pretty far down. So he might be going down with them. and it might start with this Jacksonville defense.
It definitely could. It's going to be the biggest test of his young career.
I'm still not on the Mahomes bandwagon. Are you?
I'm on the Mahomes bandwagon, but for a young quarterback, I'm going to call him a rookie, even though I get it. But it's just easier to say.
2 years? Last year?
Yeah, he had one start last year, so he's not technically a rookie, but he's played 5 NFL football games. So this is the biggest test for him. I don't think he's seen a defense like this ever in his life. So it'll
Jimmy
be
Garoppolo.
What's that?
Jimmy Garoppolo is a perfect example of this.
Yeah, so Mahomes, there will be growing pains. He's not going to go 400 yards every game and do all.
He might tear his ACL like the other one did.
He's not going to throw left-handed.
I hope not.
Every game either. But overhyped for this week, somebody that you may want to consider benching depending on your roster. I have Deshaun Watson.
Okay, I can see that.
Just because I think he's going to be under pressure a lot. We talked about it a little bit. Yes, he will make plays. I'm not saying he won't be. I'm not going to tell you he's not going to throw any touchdowns or anything like that. But I think that if you're looking for him to have a big game, I think you'll be disappointed. Because he is considered to be a top 10.
I get where you're coming at. Any running backs that you think are sleepers? Let's look at quarterback sleepers. Let's look at quarterback sleepers first, since we're on the topic of quarterbacks.
Alex Smith. Playing against the Saints.
Okay, that's a fair assumption.
Saints can be beaten through the air,
You could say I'll say C.J. Beathard.
Okay, that works for me. He had a good game last game. He put up fantasy points. I think he had 300 yards passing. He did well. The Niners played a strong game, so not a bad day for C.J. Beathard. I could see him having a good game as a sleeper pickup. What about a potential? Let's see. You already gave your quarterback who you thought was going to not do so well.
Oh no, I have Mahomes.
Yes, Mahomes. Let's go running back now.
Okay, go for it. You go first.
You want to do running back that is overhyped for this week, or?
You pick. You can go overhype or sleeper. Your choice.
I will go. Let's go sleeper.
Okay, sure, go for it.
And I'll say Royce Freeman. Royce Freeman has a good game against the Jets, in my opinion. 85 yards and a touchdown. Not a huge game, but a good game.
Okay, I'll say Matt Breida.
I see a trend here.
Why?
Targeting Niners players against Cardinals.
Who did I say?
C.J. Beathard.
I thought I said. Oh, did I say C.J. Beathard? I'm sorry. I can switch it.
No, it's okay. Okay? Matt Breida. He's a good pick.
The Cardinals are so bad,
and the Niners should have the ball a lot, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
So who's your overvalued running back of the week?
Overvalued. Saquon Barkley
against Carolina. Not a bad pick.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough matchup. You think they'll key in on him and make it tough for life for Saquon Barkley this week?
Yeah. I see it as not the best for Barkley, Mr. Barkley.
Gotcha. Okay. So, sleeper wide receiver out there. Is there somebody that people can pick up for a big game this week?
In the receiver category?
Yeah.
It's a good question. Do you have anyone in mind?
I do.
Oh, you do?
Tyrod Taylor, Tennessee Titans. And I'll tell you why. Corey Davis.
Tyrod Taylor?
Taiwan.
Oh,
Taylor.
okay. I was like, wait a minute. Something doesn't sound right.
So Corey Davis had a big game for the Titans last week. Although this week, he will be going up against Tre'Davious White from Buffalo, who's a really good outside cornerback. Mariota has developed a chemistry with Tyrod Taylor, and I think that he'll go for him. Give me 8 receptions, 85 yards, and a touchdown. Tyrod Taylor against the Buffalo Bills.
Okay. I am going to go with somebody that you will not expect, I don't think. You might actually expect it. But.
Give me a hint.
Okay. He's a Raider.
Oh, you're going with a receiver? That's a Raider? So,
yeah.
Jordy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you gave me, it was pretty much it was going to be him, right?
He's been on a roll, so yeah, I see that.
Okay.
I see him have another good game.
So what about an overvalued wide receiver? Somebody who's a big name that will have a tough day.
Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper. So you think Jordy will be the benefactor of Cooper not having a great day?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. You can't throw two footballs at once, right? One receiver gets the ball, the other one doesn't.
I would be shocked if that ever happened.
Although with the rules giving the quarterback so much freedom nowadays, you wouldn't be surprised in a year or two if they have two footballs to throw, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to give you a name that you might be shocked by.
Okay.
AJ Green will be a bust this week.
AJ Green.
He's going up against the Dolphins defense who can defend the pass well. Xavier Howard is a really good cornerback. He will be shadowing AJ Green. Xavier Howard is one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. Joe Mixon.
And when you're saying that AJ Green's not that good to stop a top corner.
AJ Green's very good. I just think that it'll be tough, and I think Dalton will look elsewhere. And Mixon is back, so I think that the Bengals will establish the run. I think it'll be a balance between run and pass. I don't know if they'll throw the ball as much as they did like last week. Mixon is a better between the tackles type of player, whereas Bernard is somebody you want to throw the ball to and get him into space. So I see AJ Green getting a few catches. I mean, he'll have some yards. I would say something like 6 catches for 55 yards. So not what you want in a wide receiver one, if that makes sense.
Okay, I can okay, I can see this. I can see this.
All right, give me a tight end.
Vance McDonald.
For a breakout game?
Yes.
Yeah, good pick. I like it.
Who's your breakout?
I think I was going to take Vance McDonald, but...
Oh, I got him to him first. In your face.
Give me Austin Seferian-Jenkins against Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
He doesn't get a lot of yardage, but I think he scores a touchdown, at least one. So give me 5 catches for 52 yards and a touchdown. I think that will be a solid game if you're streaming Austin Seferian-Jenkins. If you have somebody on a bye, like I have Trey Burton in one league. He's on a bye this week. So I'm looking for help. Vance McDonald is my first choice to pick up. But if I don't get him, I don't feel bad getting Austin Seferian-Jenkins. What do you think? Like, he's a guy who can score touchdowns.
I put him in my daily fantasy, but
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't like trade for him or anything.
Oh, no. He's able to be picked up more than likely. So what tight end will bust?
You might not agree with this, but I'm going to say Antonio Gates.
Antonio Gates?
Is that fair to say?
I don't think that. No, you need to pick someone else.
Well, fine.
He's not good enough to be like you got to pick like a top 10 tight end that won't be good.
Well, fine. Now I have to really think.
I'll go.
Go for it.
I am going to say that Jimmy Graham. Actually, no. Take it back. I will say Jordan Reed doesn't have a
I'll
very
take Jimmy
good game.
Graham.
Okay, you take Jimmy Graham. I'll take Jordan Reed. I think Jordan Reed will have. I don't think he'll get a touchdown. So, if you don't score as a tight end and
Jimmy
you get
Graham's
like 50
not
yards,
get 10 targets.
I mean, I can agree with that. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers doesn't throw to his tight end a lot. A lot of people overhype Jimmy Graham going into the season for fantasy football. Rodgers has never
throws
supported.
to his tight end when it's a Hail Mary.
He's never supported a top 10 tight end since what was that guy's name? God, back in the day, like 10 years ago. Regardless,
Bubba Franks.
even when Aaron Rodgers had Jared Cook, didn't do much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he doesn't throw to his tight ends very often. It's almost like they have to. It's almost like they have to run plays where they are trying to get him the ball because they know he's not going to look for him normally. If that makes sense.
Okay. Is that all the positions?
That's all we
Should we
got.
talk about kicker?
No, we don't talk about kickers.
Hey, I know who to not talk about.
I'm a former kicker.
Not San Diego.
I kicked
LA Chargers kicker should be not on that team anymore.
I kicked in high school for my high school football team. I was a kicker.
Do you hear that? That's the sound of people caring.
Yep.
Silence.
We'll go outside right now and kick 50-yard field goals if you want.
in the street when people are. There's no
I can
goalpost.
kick, I can kick this ball right over that there mountain. All right.
What mountain? We're in a. There's no
that mountain on that picture.
Oh my! I think that's in Arizona. You loon.
We're going to go for today,
Okay.
but we'll be back Monday, and we're going to show Jeff how wrong he was. So join me.
Oh, I think I'm going to do the right one. So if you think one of us is right, you should let us know.
Have you guys ever seen that Victor Cruz salsa celebration?
And we're done. Everyone have a good day, and we'll see you on Monday.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.